loops it down there, and wide open. Then the ball is knocked loose. The catch is made, and then the ball is knocked out of his hand.
From Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli.
You are lifting weights?
Correct. Does it not look like it?
Oh, the ball is free. Scooped up by Stroud. Circles, throws, complete on a busted play. Hutchinson.
It's Justin Herbert.
Hey, Buzz Lightyear.
I love this shit. I'm gonna smile all day. Hey, cause it's fun when I whoop a man's ass.
Hello, and welcome back to the Bolts podcast. My name is Nick Cates. My pronouns are he and him, and I am solo today. I'm here with a quick update pod, and I'm here with an update because it is football season again. That's right. The Chargers are back in action. I am here to tell you about everything that has gone on so far, and we can start with the Chargers training camp, which started up in earnest just about a month ago. I was lucky enough to attend 2 training camp days down at the Bolt in El Segundo, including one with Ariane and Marco as well. Shout out Marco. That was a really, really excellent experience. We had a really good time, especially that second time. We ended up kind of lucking into a perfect view right on the side of the field, and we got some really, really excellent views of the Chargers practicing. So, to the stories out of said training camp. First off, our second-round pick, wide receiver Trey Harris out of Ole Miss, actually ended up holding out of signing his rookie contract after getting drafted. This was not really a Chargers-specific thing. It more had to do with a dispute over guaranteed money going on between not only Trey Harris and the Chargers, but all of the second-round picks, as the first 2 second-round picks that signed their contracts got fully guaranteed contracts. Trey did not end up signing a fully guaranteed deal with the Chargers, but he did sign his contract about a week into camp, and we have especially very recent reports out of camp that Trey has been having some really big practices. We got a really good video clip from the Chargers of Justin Herbert hitting him for a deep, deep touchdown pass. There were some reports early on, I think especially from Popper, that due to some of the post-draft obligations that both Trey Harris and KeAndre Lambert-Smith, who we will talk about in a moment, had to go through, they might take a little while to find their stride. Trey Harris is now really finding his stride after having signed his contract, which is excellent. Next, really good piece of news, really big piece of news. This was actually something that Ariane and Marco and myself got to see at camp a couple of weeks ago. One player who has been standing out, because we're going to get some rookie standouts in a minute, but one player who, from the veteran side, who has really, really been standing out in terms of his offseason training and some of the improvements that he's made to his game in camp is actually number 1, QJ, Quentin Johnston. We saw him make some really, really nice catches when we were at camp. He looked so much more confident catching the ball. And considering how unconfident he looked catching the ball last year and some of the crazy stuff he was able to do in spite of that, look, I know Q has taken quite a lot of heat, but he looks good in camp this year, and I'm excited to see what it might mean. If he can find his hands, I think we're going to see big, big things from Q. So something to monitor as the season gets started. Obviously, Q, as a veteran, is not playing in the preseason, but I will be very interested to keep an eye on that week 1. Another storyline, this one actually, funnily enough, happened. I went to camp. The first day I went to camp, I went by myself. And I think right about as I had my ticket scanned, this news dropped, which is that Mike Williams, Mike Dubb, who Chargers legend, who we re-signed ahead of this season, retired. He announced his retirement a couple of weeks ago. So that was a bit of a surprise. And obviously we were very excited to see what Mike Dubb would be bringing to the table now that he is back with the team. But unfortunately he retired. But it is not all sad news on that front. Yes, we lost Mike Williams, but management, Joe Ortiz, reached out, went back out onto the free agents list and called up another Chargers legend who, thankfully for us, was unsigned up until about a week ago. Number 13, Keenan Allen, back with the Chargers, just 1 year off in Chicago, right back with the Chargers like he never left. This is huge. Keenan, obviously a all-time route runner as a receiver, maybe not nearly the talent that he used to be, but we don't need Keenan to be the number one that we needed him to be previously. I think that if Keenan is able to take some attention off Ladd McConkey, continue to open things up for Q and Trey Harris and KeAndre, I think Keenan will do his job perfectly fine. So I'm really happy to have Keenan back. I know there are a lot of Charger fans who are super, super stoked to see Keenan back. What a good piece of news. That rocks. Such good vibes right now. Are you ready for me to ruin them? This is the Chargers. I'm going to ruin them. Yeah, let's go. Our left tackle, Rashawn Slater, a couple of days ago was carted off at practice, diagnosed with a torn patellar tendon, and will be out for the season. This is definitely a bummer. Rashawn's one of the best tackles in the league. Definitely somebody that we want to have on the field. I'm very happy for him because he also signed his extension. So he signed his extension and he got hurt, but at least he got paid before he got hurt, which I'm happy about for him at least. But definitely not what we want to see, seeing him go down for the season, even if by some miracle he's able to recover fast enough to potentially play in the playoffs. But on the bright side, I don't know if it's the worst situation. I think that we could end up being all right here. Next men up are Jamari Salyer and Trey Pipkins. Both of them have a lot of experience playing on the Chargers offensive line. Mixed results over the years, obviously, but given some of the confidence that I've been seeing, especially from Salyer in camp, I'm not devastated. I'm not depressed. I don't think we're totally cooked. And especially having signed Mekhi Becton already to bolster the interior of the line, and with some of the chemistry he's already been developing with Joe Alt, which the team has really been drawing some attention to, I feel good. And obviously last time we lost Rashawn for the season, we did not have gigantic 6'8", 325-pound Joe Alt to either slide in at left or just still be on the other side at right tackle and totally dominating people. So we can look on the bright side there, right? In terms of other teams, other news going around in the NFL, I wanted to mention briefly Jerry Jones, Darth Vader, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, is at it again. And what is it, you may ask? Well, his yearly beloved tradition of not paying any of my players. That's right. This time, we've seen it with Dak Prescott. We've seen it with CD Lamb. This time, it is all-pro defensive end linebacker Micah Parsons. I've seen some folks, I think the director on YouTube was talking about this, really wanting the Chargers to trade for Micah Parsons. Yeah, I mean, if there's anybody to sell the farm for in the NFL, he's one of those guys. Is there an immediate need? I think you can argue maybe not. I mean, it would be sick to watch him play with Khalil Mack, but is Thule really that bad that we need to give up 2 first-round picks for another guy to replace him? I don't really think so. I don't really think that you do it for that reason. I think you just do it because the guy's available. But unfortunately, and a lot of NFL people have been saying this over the past few days, the history is not on the side of the Cowboys trading Micah Parsons, even as much as we might love to see that happen. Usually Jerry just costs himself a bunch of money by doing this stupid bullshit, and it's Micah Parsons just going to make more money. So, yeah, that's what I think is probably going to happen. But it would be really sick. That would be really sick if that were to happen. And again, of all the guys that have come up, I know when I was at camp, I was talking to a bunch of people about they all want us to trade for Terry McLaurin from Washington, especially with signing Keenan. I definitely don't know how necessary that is, but if you're going to give up big draft compensation, big anything for any player, Micah Parsons is certainly on that list. So we'll see. I don't think so. Would be very cool. Probably an emergency podcast if that did happen. And finally, one really nice piece of news. Antonio Gates, longtime Chargers legend and one of the greatest tight ends ever to play the game of football, Antonio Gates has been inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's a great honor for him. Antonio Gates is a guy I watched a lot as a kid. And I remember completely redefining the tight end position from being mostly blocking guys who would, maybe catch occasional passes to just being this basketball player who came in and changed everything about the way the position is played, making it into a pass-catching position, a playmaking position. One of the first guys to do that, paved the way for guys like Gronk and Travis Kelce to take over the league. So it's really nice to see Antonio get his recognition. One of the scariest players in the history of football in terms of getting your ass kicked or getting your defense's ass kicked. So big congrats to Antonio. The NFL also honored Antonio by having this year's Hall of Fame game be between the Chargers and the Detroit Lions from Antonio's home state of Michigan. And we will begin the Chargers preseason with that game next.
Go, Chargers, go, Chargers, go.
So, Chargers began their preseason with 2 games so far. It's actually only the end of week 1 of the preseason, but the Chargers, as I mentioned, played in the Hall of Fame game, which precedes week 1 of the preseason, and we won 34-7 over the Detroit Lions. Obviously, this is not the full-strength Detroit Lions, so it doesn't quite mean the same thing as if we did that during the regular season, but still some really encouraging stuff from the Chargers, headlined by Trey Lance, an offseason signing who went 13 for 20 passing for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. For me, having watched the Chargers in the last few preseasons completely struggle with Easton Stick quarterbacking us, this was excellent. Trey was obviously once, for those who remember, a 3rd overall pick. Maybe not quite at that stature anymore, but a lot of really good things could come of this for the Chargers. Worst case, he's a very capable backup. Best case, we can get a team to trade a draft pick or 2 for him who needs a quarterback, and that's more capital for us in the draft. Yeah, and in the meantime, great fun to watch in preseason. Great job in the Hall of Fame game. We also had, so you can see behind me, just this past Sunday, a 27-13 victory over the New Orleans Saints at SoFi Stadium. Just to go through some of the bright spots, some of the really nice stuff that we've seen from the Chargers in these 2 games, I want to spotlight some of the rookies who have been making plays as I watch tape on all of these guys, and I have been itching to tell you about them. Okay, so let's start with Nico Reed, cornerback out of the University of Oregon, Justin Herbert's alma mater. He's very small. I think he's only 5'9" or 5'10". He's a really little guy. He's definitely more of a nickel corner, not really an outside corner, but he's a really good player. He doesn't look like a little guy playing out there. He can return kicks, and his big highlight in the Hall of Fame game, he had a huge interception on Kyle Allen, returned it quite a long way, probably more than 50 yards across the field. I did not see much of him in the game on Sunday, but played really well, and looks like he is carving out a spot for himself on the Chargers. Undrafted, Nico Reed. So not a guarantee that he's going to be on the roster at the end of camp. Next up, you have heard of Rahul. Now meet KeAndre Smith. KeAndre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn. He's a 5th round pick of the Chargers, so probably going to be on the roster going forward. This guy, number one headline about KeAndre Smith, he is a certified burner, 4.37 speed. We haven't had a player like this who can really run like that with the Chargers for a while, and the last guy we had, Jalen Guyton, was almost always injured. So I am really excited to see what KeAndre can do for the Chargers. He torches corners for huge plays down the field, which he did in the Hall of Fame game. Had a huge win on the outside. One of the attributes, I mentioned this on the podcast previously, but one of the attributes of KeAndre and Trey Harris, both of them, they have really great hands. He made a sick one-handed catch this year against Arkansas. And in addition to getting open downfield, KeAndre runs a really good slant route. He got open on a slant for a touchdown in the Hall of Fame game. And he's just so fast that you give him that little bit of space, he can get right in. He does need a little bit of space if he's going to get yards after the catch, but if he gets some room, good luck catching him. 4.37. He can burn. He's not the biggest receiver too, but he is pretty good in contested catches just because he has such good hands. He can get separated on broken play really well. Yeah, KeAndre is really exciting. I'm really excited to see what he can do when they just match him up one-on-one on the outside and see what happens. Let's go. Next up, also a 5th round pick out of Syracuse University, tight end, and maybe the most talked about player in camp so far this year, Oronde Gadsden. Oronde has some really excellent film. I encourage you to watch a lot of his highlights from Syracuse. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's what you'd call a gadget tight end. He's the type of guy that Antonio Gates really paved the way for. He's not, I don't know how I feel about him blocking. He's not that he's a small guy, but he's not like big and, you know, he doesn't really look like much of a blocking tight end, but in terms of receiving, he can get open. He's great in short yardage, great on choice routes. His tape kind of looks like you're watching a gigantic Lad McConkey. He's not as fast, but he does kind of some of the same things, but he's huge. Can get down the seam and make a catch down the seam. Justin Herbert can throw a seam ball, so that's going to be a huge asset for the passing game. And he's not that easy to bring down because he's huge. So that's really exciting. And he had 2 catches against the Saints, so looking forward to seeing him maybe do some more in the ensuing preseason games. Next up, this is a guy that I haven't heard talked about very much, and I'm very excited to talk about him because he had maybe my absolute favorite tape out of anybody that I watched of all the guys that the Chargers brought in this offseason. He is a tight end fullback out of Iowa State by the name of Steve-O Klotz. Whew, first of all, we got to start with that name. We talk a lot on this podcast about nominative determinism, and yet another one in the W column. I don't know quite how to explain this. Is more of like an energetic thing, but like I hear the name Steve-O Klotz, and the first thing I think is tight end or fullback, one of those two things. But I'm like, that guy's like a backup tight end. I'm seeing him on the side of the formation in Madden, like. It just feels so right? Like big, strong blocker of a dude, and that's exactly what Steve-O is. He basically does 3 things. All of them are excellent. Number 1, he blows people up, pancake blocks, loves to go in on a lead block, absolutely knock over a linebacker. He has done this already. He did it in the Hall of Fame game, and it's an excellent sight to see. Number 2, he seals off running lanes, and he does so violently. He gets these guys in a vice grip, and if they try and move, they go on the ground. It is a lot of fun to see. And the last thing he does, at least on his college tape, is he's very good at getting open and on little out routes, little short routes, and getting a few yards for first down. I saw him get open a few times as well on Sunday. Didn't get the ball thrown to him, but he's very fast for what a big blocking dude he is. He's quite fast. And I want to also point out he showed a fourth thing on Sunday. I want to say it was maybe 21 personnel. They had Steve-O in an offset eye, and it was a play action. It was a play action deep shot. And the tight end on the end completely blew his blocking assignment. They did not block the defensive end, and Steve-O saw this immediately, snuffed it out, picked up the block of a defensive end as a fullback, and got the time for DJ Uiagalelei to throw a massive bomb to Dale Von Campbell, which set up a touchdown for the Chargers. Massive stuff to see. And I know that Steve-O is like really kind of a dirty work type of guy, not somebody who you often see on the stat sheet, but go check out his Iowa State film and go check out some of the things. Definitely go back and watch that deep shot from Sunday, because that was some really nice blocking. And he's the number one guy I'm rooting for to make the team. I'm the most biased on Steve-O. Moving on to Miles Purchase, Steve-O's Iowa State teammate. He was listed as a cornerback when the Chargers signed him, but they have mostly been deploying him during this preseason at safety and sub-package linebacker, which is very interesting. It has been a little bit up and down from Miles, but I wanted to give him a shout out because he had one hell of a play in the Hall of Fame game. So Dominic Lovett, who is one of the Lions wide receiving prospects, he had a big catch downfield. He was in one-on-one coverage against Miles, and Miles quite simply took the ball away from him. Insane. It blew my mind. I have seen Khalil Mack do this, I think to a runner or maybe to a receiver. That's Khalil Mack. Obviously, I did not expect Miles Purchase to break this one out in the first preseason game of the season, but there you go. He did get a little bit burned as the deep safety on a pass play that we will talk about a little bit later, but again, undrafted guy, almost no film on him. I couldn't really find any of his college film, and he made one hell of a play, so want to shout him out for that. Next up, and this guy came along late. He wasn't even in one of the original group of undrafted free agents that the Chargers signed, but he has actually starred since he came in, is Dale Von Campbell. Wide receiver out of South Carolina, had a massive game, as I mentioned previously, caught that big pass from DJ Uiagalelei against the Saints. He has 4.4 speed, and he's made a bunch of catches. He might even have been the most active wide receiver overall in both of the games for the Chargers. Really fast guy, great in contested catches. You go back and watch his college film, like you throw one up for him, he comes down with it every single time. I think he's 6'4". He's a pretty big dude. So I really like him. And I mean, with Mike Dubb retiring, getting a new contested catch guy for free is not a bad deal. Next up, this guy really showed out on Sunday, and it was a real treat to watch him. Marlowe Wax, linebacker, Oronde Gadsden's teammate, undrafted out of Syracuse. He had over 100 tackles in 2024. And that really showed on Sunday because he led the Chargers with 9 tackles, and I should point out all 9 were solo tackles. So excellent work from Marlowe Wax on that. Great at stuffing the run. He's effective as a blitzer. He's all over the place. He was in on almost every defensive play yesterday, at least all the snaps he was playing. He looked great. He's playing on special teams too. I really like him. He's another guy that I pinpointed on film when I watched for when we were going to do the draft preview. Really great to see him on Sunday. I didn't see much out of him in the Hall of Fame game, but he was excellent. He had a sack against the Saints too. Seems like great leadership qualities. Seems like a great guy to have in the room. So Marlowe Wax, good work. And Jim Harbaugh shouted him out after the Saints game. So really good work. Last, but certainly not least, we have Eric Rogers, cornerback out of Rutgers, and this guy was the big star on Sunday. He had a big breakout season last season at Rutgers, and he is a playmaker. He does stuff with the ball, and that is what we saw on Sunday. He's a much taller guy than, say, somebody like Nico Reed, much more of an outside corner, and he showed those skills on Sunday. He had 2 interceptions, and he ran one of those interceptions straight back to the house. He jumped a pass from Tyler Shuck, Saints' second-round pick, Tyler Shuck, and took it right back. It was amazing to watch. So great to watch an undrafted guy with little expectation like that just come out and make a huge play like that. Couple of huge plays from Eric Rodgers. Unfortunately, he got injured. Chargers have not really said much about his injury status. He walked off the field with quite a lot of help of the trainers and was on crutches in the locker room. I just read from Chargers reporter Chris Rim that he didn't practice today. So we'll see what's up with Eric Rodgers, but I think he made a very good case to make the team, even if he can't play in any more preseason games. Happy to see that from him. And next week, I want to talk about some more rookies, whoever ends up showing out in the next game against the Rams on Saturday. I will be there. Very excited. Next up.
You do your chess match, and then you...
Test match.
Alrighty, let's start out with the end of the Indian Women's Tour of England. It's interesting. Since Ariana and I last potted, the remaining matches from that point forward in the series were actually tied 3-3 between the teams, but the circumstances for England were so depressing and so dire that, especially with those first 2 losses against India, and the fact that even with that split, they still lost the ODI series, which followed the T20I series. It almost didn't matter. There's a lot of ways in which India easily could have just washed out England 8-0. All 3 of England's wins were either on the last ball, or in the case of the ODI, they got a lot of help from their friends Duckworth, Lewis, and Stern. Sophia Dunkley, luckily, was able to recover from her very questionable run out on a big innings in the 3rd T20I, and definitely carried much better form throughout the rest of the series, and mostly better running. But yeah, 2 last ball victories for England in the 3rd and 5th T20Is gave them a 3-2 series loss as opposed to a 5-0. Football fans in cricket, the home field advantage is much bigger. It's not just yelling fans. The ground is easier to play on when you're at home. So it's particularly embarrassing for England that they got marched in and absolutely smacked like this. But we like to see that. That's pretty excellent. So Nat Sciver-Brunt, the England captain, did end up having to miss several games because of a groin injury, which would explain some of her erratic play and or captaincy in previous matches. Unfortunately, it got much worse for Nat Sciver-Brunt, as after the series concluded, the team's attitude was called severely into question by a former England fast bowler. This England fast bowler had said on BBC Test Match Special, "It's hard for me to understand people sometimes and their attitudes because to me it looks lazy and like they don't care. Are they actually feeling like that? Or do you actually care a lot? And that is your way of showing it. I struggled a lot with that. It came across to me as bad attitude and no discipline. That is definitely not what I'm seeing from everyone, but at times there are examples." These are the words of this former England fast bowler. And as harsh as this is, it got much worse for Nat Sciver-Brunt, because this former England fast bowler who said this was Catherine Sciver-Brunt, her wife. So that's really rough. I always want to see England lose, but I never want to see anybody get criticism like that from that close to home. So best wishes to the Sciver-Brunts on navigating that. That is rough. Definitely still better than England lost, but it shouldn't cause marital strife. It's the official position of this podcast. So, over to the men. When last we left you, we were in the middle of the fourth test at Old Trafford Cricket Ground. Not the one that they play soccer at. England managed 669 in their second innings, but unfortunately, they were not able to effectively bowl India out. So India played things out for a draw. They were actually leading at the end of the match. Yeah, missed opportunity there for England with the series at 2-1, but not nearly as big of a missed opportunity as the fifth test. So it was a pretty even match overall going through. India set 224 in the first innings. England replied with 247. India replied with 396 to set a target of 374 for England to win. And I believe India were done batting on day 3, so they had quite a lot of time to bat. And initially, they were going quite well. At the time of the fifth wicket falling, England had 332 on the board. They needed 42 more runs in order to win with 5 wickets in hand. They were all out for 367. They lost the match by 6 runs. Basically, everybody after Joe Root could not bat. Mohammad Siraj absolutely plowed through the England lineup. He bowled 30.1 fiscal overs, 6 of which were maidens. He only conceded 104 runs, and he took 5 England wickets. Crucial England wickets. India win the match by 6 runs. England, epic fail at home. The Anderson Tendulkar Trophy is retained by India ahead of what will probably be a 5-0 washout in India in 2 years' time or whenever it's scheduled for. I'm not sure. But England's men definitely showed some fight here. But yeah, I don't know what to say. It's great to see a summer where they make mistakes, blow matches, and eat shit, and they did quite a lot of that. So like I said, home field advantage, big deal, but not when you suck like England does. So that's pretty excellent. Last thing in cricket, Major League Cricket did end. That ended a little while back. A bit of a surprise here. MI New York, the 4th place team, came out of nowhere and won their second MLC title. Yay. Nah, I don't like MI. Nah. Hopefully the LA Knight Riders can maybe win 3 matches next season. That would be cool. I hope we can win 3 matches before we get a new stadium, which might be never. That might be never. So honestly, I talk a lot about the Chargers and the Punjab Kings and how frustrating they are, but like only 3 years of LA Knight Riders has been damn near the most depressing thing I've ever seen. So yeah, awesome. At least I got to go to the Coliseum. That fucking rocked. So that was cool. And in an effort to convince Major League Cricket that I am a real journalist, I'm going to read the press release that they said, or at least the headline that they sent me today, which is that minor league cricket is starting on August 28th. I don't know if I'm going to watch that, but it's still probably better than the 100. So watch it before you watch the 100. Also coming up in cricket, we got Stupid 100 is going on. I watched 5 minutes the other day. Never want to do it again. At least they switched outs back to wickets, which was really stupid that they fucked that up in the first place. But it's a dumb league. Don't watch it. Don't watch the 100. And the CPL, which is better. That's coming up soon too. Probably watch some of that. But outside of that, it is football season again. Like I said, Chargers will be back in action on Saturday at SoFi Stadium against the crosstown rival LA Rams. I can't wait. And the other thing I can't wait for is that next week, Shohei Ohtani will be joining us on this podcast to tell me to my face what he thinks of Steve Klotz. So, for Ariane Ori, A.L. Smith, and everybody else associated with the NFL's 4077th team. My name is Nick Cates, and I'm saying, well...
I've got so much to say and so little time to say it. Great job, everybody. Who's got it better than us? Nobody!